Should you bring your DSLR to your next trip? Now I know that 2020 has been awful for international travel, but I'm sure you have bought tickets to a certain destination about maybe 8 months in advance, thinking that maybe travel will be a thing again. I know that I have agonized over this topic every day up until I leave the house for the airport. And if you're like me, then you're gonna want to know what goes through my mind, and hopefully I can help you decide what to do before your next trip. So my first piece of advice is to go through your greatest hits. Go through all the images that you've ever taken that you really like. For example, all of my favorite images I've ever taken have been on the Canon 5D Mark III with a 85mm f1.8 lens. And those images were my favorite because I was far away and my subjects didn't know I was taking a picture of them. On that trip though, I brought everything, including the kitchen sink. I brought the 28mm, the 35mm, the 50mm. I even brought the 70-200. I hated myself on that trip and I visited so many cities. What you'll notice is that you're leaving your DSLR in the hotel safe, and that's not a good sign. If you're the type of person to do a lot of physical activity like walking, hiking, bicycling, then maybe consider getting a GoPro. And there are also so many tutorials out there on how to get cinematic footage with a GoPro, and oh my god, like this is so good at image stabilization. And if you are the type to do a lot of street photography, then maybe consider just taking a wide-angle lens. I don't do a lot of street photography with wide-angle lenses simply because I have to get close to my subjects, and I don't really like getting close to my subjects. I like being far away, having that intimate feeling of being close to them without being close to them. And so I think we should all challenge ourselves to just take what we really like. Don't bring every single focal length in your camera bag. You're gonna regret it, you're gonna hate it. My second tip is don't bring a DSLR and just fully embrace mobile phone photography. There are so many YouTube tutorials out there that you can look up to enhance your mobile photography skills. But in terms of photography, the images on a GoPro are not that great. They're good for bright days at a beach, through the mountains, but when it comes to night photography, like if you're gonna take a lot of photos at a night market, it's not the greatest. I have the Google Pixel 3. It's pretty darn good. It only has one camera, but oh my gosh, like if I wanted to take any wide angle shots or selfies, this was pretty adequate. And it's great in low light, and it's great for astrophotography as well. I believe the Google Pixel 4 or Google Pixel 5 has the astrophotography features. Maybe this one has one too. I don't know. I never tried it. It's not bad. And I think if you were to just Google a ton of, great tutorials, you would be able to master mobile photography and be really happy with the images that come out from this phone. Finally, if you are thinking about vlogging on your trip, consider the Sony ZV-1, or if you're Canadian, the ZV-1. This is the camera that I have. I really like it. The autofocus is amazing. Like, I can't believe that no matter how nuts I am with moving around the frame, it just captures it. And so I'm really into that. I love looking at myself in there while I'm moving back and forth. And also, if you're going to do a lot of videos, consider getting a lavalier mic or a on-camera mic. The one that I've got is the newer CM something something. I will link it down below. What you need to consider is not your tools so much, but your technique. I know it sucks to hear that all the time. It's like, oh, it's not the camera, it's not the lens. It really is though. It really is your vision and what is it that you want to capture. If you really want to capture street photography that is at night, I would highly recommend bringing a full frame DSLR or a full frame mirrorless camera. Biggest tip is don't buy a new camera days before the trip. Like, buy it a few months beforehand and actually use it every day and get to know all the controls inside out. I had purchased the Sony a6000. It was my first mirrorless camera just before my trip to Indonesia, and I really struggled with being really fluent with it. I found that the autofocus wasn't really nailing what I wanted to focus on. I don't know, it felt different from Canon DSLRs. So what I would suggest is if you want to buy something new before a trip, buy it early and learn it inside out. If you are concerned about weight, I know I would complain so much about how heavy a DSLR was, and the fact of the matter is you just gotta suck it up. If you like certain images to look a certain way, bring the DSLR. I made this mistake a couple years ago where I was a full frame camera user. I was using the 5D Mark III for several years, and I thought, I'm gonna buy like an entry-level Rebel again so that it's lighter. And then when I brought it, like my heart sank. I didn't like any of the images that were coming out of it. I didn't like the way it sounded. I didn't like the way it autofocused. Because when you start with a camera, full frame camera body that had 67 autofocus points down to like 17, you just can't go back. My suggestion is take what you like and don't complain about it. All right, until next time, see you later.